Sarah Chun walked through the gates of the Galactic Defense Initiative training facility with her bag over her shoulder. She looked around at the other recruits. There were hundreds of them. Tall blue Krathi warriors with 4 arms and scales like armor. Small gray vole with big heads full of tactical genius. Quick Yanari who moved like shadows. And then there were the humans. Average height. Average strength. Nothing special. Sarah was even more average than most humans. She stood at 5 feet 3 inches. Her test scores were middle of the pack. Her physical trials were okay, but not great. The psychological evaluation said she was emotionally reserved and possibly detached. Nobody looked at her twice. The alien instructors certainly did not think much of her. On the 3rd day, a massive Krathi drill instructor named Vornak stopped the entire formation. Just to point at Sarah, his forearms crossed over his chest. His voice boomed across the training yard. "Look at this one," he said. "So small, so weak. Humans think they can fight alongside real warriors. This is what the Coalition accepts now." The other recruits laughed. Some humans looked down in shame. Sarah just stood there. Her face showed nothing, but her eyes changed. They became cold. Like windows into empty space, that night, while others slept, Sarah went to the facility library. She accessed every file she could find. Battle reports from 50 years of coalition warfare. Tactical assessments of every member species. Weakness analyses. Failed missions. Successful ambush. She read about how Krathi warriors relied too much on strength. How Vol strategists overthought simple problems. How Yanari scouts had blind spots in their peripheral vision. She did not sleep that night. Or the next night. Or the night after that. The combat simulations started in week 2. Mixed species squads fought against each other in virtual battlefields. The instructors wanted to see how different species worked together. Sarah's squad got eliminated in the first simulation. It took less than 8 minutes. They walked into an obvious ambush. The Krathi on her team charged ahead. The Vol tried to plan. The Yanari scattered. Sarah tried to coordinate them, but nobody listened to the small human dot. She sat in the observation room afterward and watched the other squads. She said nothing. She just watched. Her eyes tracked every movement, every decision, every mistake. After the last squad finished, Vornak asked if anyone had observations. Sarah raised her hand. "Permission to run the simulation again, sir," she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "You want another chance?" Vornak's mouth split into what might have been a smile. "With a better squad, perhaps?" "No, sir. Just me alone." The room went silent. Other recruits stared at her. A human could not possibly win a squad simulation alone. The simulations were designed for 5 soldiers working together. 1 person against 5 opponents was suicide, Vornak laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. Grunted. "Let us all watch the human fail spectacularly." Sarah entered the simulation pod. The virtual battlefield loaded around her. An urban environment. Narrow streets. Tall buildings. Lots of cover. Her opponents were 5 mixed species. They had the same loadout she did. Same weapons. Same equipment. The only difference was numbers. The simulation started. Sarah did not do what anyone expected. She did not charge forward like a Krathi. She did not try to outthink her opponents like a Vol. She did not try to outspeed them like a Yanari. Instead, she disappeared. She moved through the environment like smoke. She used every shadow, every corner, every piece of cover. But more than that, she used psychology. She fired a shot from one position, then moved immediately. Her opponents heard the shot and moved to flank that position. She was already gone. Already behind them, she separated them. Made them paranoid. Made them shoot at shadows. One opponent fired at another by mistake. Their communication broke down. They started second-guessing every sound, every movement. Sarah did not fight fair. She used the environment as a weapon. She collapsed a virtual building on 2 opponents. She forced another into a kill zone. She made the fourth one think his last teammate had betrayed him. When it was over, all 5 opponents were eliminated. Sarah stood in the middle of the street, unmarked, her weapon still half full of ammunition. The time display showed 4 minutes and 17 seconds. The observation room was silent. Every recruit stared at the screen. Vornak's smile had vanished. He looked at the tactical breakdown of the simulation. He ran it again to check for errors. There were none. Sarah exited the pod and walked back to her place in formation. She said nothing. Her face showed nothing. But her eyes were still cold. That night, Sarah became the subject of intense discussion in the barracks. How did she move like that? How did she predict where her opponents would be? How did a small human with average scores just destroy 5 opponents in 4 minutes? A Vol named Kestik approached her bunk. He was considered a tactical genius among his people. How did you do it? He asked. Sarah looked up from the tactical manual she was reading. I watched everyone fail first. I learned what not to do. Then I thought about what each species does naturally. Krothi trusts their strength. Vol trusts their plans. Ynnari trusts their speed. I made them all trust the wrong thing at the wrong time. But the speed, the precision, you moved like you knew where they would be before they did. I did know. You all telegraph your movements. Every species has patterns. Krothi shift their weight before charging. Vol pause to calculate. Ynnari bounce on their toes before sprinting. Humans do it too. I watched for 2 hours. I learned the patterns. Kestik stared at her. You learned 50 hours of tactical training and 2 hours of observation? No, Sarah said. She went back to her manual. I learned what everyone else missed in 50 hours. There is a difference. Kestik walked away slowly. He told the others what Sarah said. The discussion in the barracks changed. Some recruits became nervous around her. Others became curious. A few became frightened. Vornak updated his assessment of recruit Sarah Chun that night. Under the comments section, he wrote only 3 words, watch this one. He had no idea how right he was. None of them did. They were all about to learn what happens when you give a human with nothing to lose a reason to win. They were about to learn that humans did not have the same limits as other species. And Sarah Chun was about to show them all exactly what those words meant. 3 months passed. Sarah Chun was no longer invisible. Instructors watched her carefully. Other recruits gave her space. She won every simulation she entered. Not through strength or speed, but through thinking. Always thinking. Then the alarm sounded. Every recruit rushed to the command center. On the main screen, a civilian transport ship floated dead in space. Its engines were dark. Its hull showed blast damage. A transmission played on repeat. It was a distress call. This is Transport Vessel Meridian. We have been boarded by Kethrin raiders. They are executing hostages. Please help us. Please, the transmission cut off with a scream. The command center erupted into activity. Senior officers shouted orders. Tactical displays showed the transport was only 30 minutes away. The Kethrin were notorious pirates. They never left witnesses. They never negotiated. Sarah stood at her assigned station. She was supposed to monitor communication channels. Just watch and record. She was still a recruit. But her hands gripped the console edge until her knuckles turned white. Another transmission came through. The Kethrin commander appeared on screen. He was massive even for his species. Scars covered his face. He held a human child by the neck. Coalition dogs, he growled. You have 1 hour to transfer 50,000 credits. For every 10 minutes you delay, we execute 5 hostages. We've already killed 10. Do not test us. The screen went black. The command center exploded with voices. A Vol officer suggested negotiation. A Krothi wanted immediate assault. A Ynnari scout said they needed more intel. The senior commander, a gray-haired human named Morrison, held up his hand for silence. We follow protocol, Morrison said. We negotiate while preparing tactical options. We minimize casualties. We do not rush in blindly. Sarah listened. She counted seconds in her head. 5 hostages every 10 minutes. 37 hostages total according to the manifest. They had already lost 10. 27 remained. 10 minutes passed while officers debated. Another transmission. 5 more bodies. 22 left. Sarah's fingers moved across her console. She was not monitoring communications anymore. She was accessing ship manifests. Weapon inventories. Docking bay controls. Another 10 minutes. 5 more dead. 17 hostages left. The negotiator was failing. The Kethrin commander just laughed at every offer. He was enjoying this. He wanted them to watch. He wanted them to feel helpless. Sarah made a decision. She stood up and walked out of the command center. Nobody noticed at first. Everyone was focused on the screens. By the time someone realized Recruit Chun was missing, she was already in Docking Bay 3. By the time security reached the bay, she was gone. So was a combat shuttle. Commander Morrison. The security chief's voice cracked over the comm. Chun just stole a shuttle. She is heading for the transport. Morrison's face went pale. Get her back, now. Sir, she has already entered FTL. We cannot catch her. On the transport vessel Meridian, the Kethrin were getting bored. They had killed 25 hostages now. Only 12 remained. The coalition still had not paid. Still had not attacked. The commander was starting to think they did not care about human lives. Then the lights went out. The Kethrin commander activated his helmet light. His squad did the same. Check the power systems, he ordered. Before anyone could move, something exploded 3 decks down. Then another explosion. Then another. The transport shuddered. Emergency lights flickered on and off. We are under attack. Someone shouted. Impossible, the commander said. Sensors showed no coalition ships nearby, but the explosions continued. Airlocks opened and closed randomly. Sections of the ship vented atmosphere. The Kethrin scrambled to seal their suits. They tried to regroup. They tried to find their attacker. They never saw her. Sarah move through the darkness like she was born in it. She knew this ship model. She had memorized the schematics during her console access. She knew where every system was. Every weapon. Every weak point. She was not trying to fight the raiders directly. That would be stupid. They were bigger, stronger, and better armed. Instead, she turned the ship itself into a weapon. She vented atmosphere in sections where raiders stood. She sealed doors behind them. She herded them like animals toward specific locations. She used the ship's cargo handling systems to drop containers on them. She set fires and sealed sections. The Kethrin commander realized what was happening. It is one person. Find them? But every time his squad thought they had a location, Sarah was already gone. She was 3 steps ahead. Always moving. Always thinking. She found the hostages locked in a cargo bay. She did not waste time on reassurances. Stay quiet. Follow me. Move fast. She led them through maintenance corridors the raiders did not know existed. She sealed them in a shuttle bay with emergency supplies. Then she went hunting. There were 8 raiders left. She picked them off one by one. Not with superior firepower, with psychology. She made sounds that drew them into traps. She left bodies where others would find them. She wrote messages in their own language on the walls. Messages that said, "You are already dead. You just do not know it yet." The raiders started breaking. They shot at shadows. They accused each other of cowardice. Their discipline shattered. Finally, only the commander remained. He stood in the main cargo bay, plasma rifle ready, turning in circles. Show yourself, coalition dog. Sarah dropped from a ceiling vent. She landed 10 feet away from him. She held only a maintenance tool. A heavy wrench. The commander laughed. You are just a human. A small one. You think you frighten me? Sarah said nothing. She just looked at him. Really looked at him. Her eyes were completely empty. No fear, no anger. No mercy, just calculation. Like she was looking at a problem that needed solving. The commander's laugh died. Something in her gaze made his combat instincts scream danger. He had fought for 20 years. He had killed hundreds. But this small human standing before him made something deep in his brain cry out in terror. "What are you?" he whispered. Sarah tilted her head slightly. "I am what happens when you threaten people I could have saved. I am what happens when you make me watch people die. I am the thing you just taught the coalition to unleash." She took one step forward. The commander took one step back. "You can kill me," Sarah continued. Her voice was soft, almost gentle. "Your rifle is faster than my wrench, but you will not. Do you know why?" The commander's finger trembled on the trigger. "Because you just realized something? You can see it now. I do not have a ceiling. Whatever you do to me, I will do worse to you. I will not stop. I will not break. I will just keep coming. And you are not sure you can stop me before I reach you." The commander's weapon clattered to the floor. His hands shook. His mind broke under the weight of what he saw in her eyes. A human with no limits. No fear, no hesitation. Just an absolute willingness to do whatever was necessary. Sarah walked past him to the plasma rifle. She picked it up. She pointed it at him. "Sit down. Hands on your head." He sat. He put his hands on his head. He kept whispering the same words over and over. "No ceiling. Humans have no ceiling." 4 hours later, Morrison's combat teams breached the transport. They found all 12 remaining hostages alive and secure. They found 8 dead raiders. They found their commander sitting in the cargo bay, catatonic, guarded by recruit Sarah Shun. Sarah saluted when Morrison entered. "Sir, hostages are secure. Threat is eliminated. Requesting permission to return to base?" Morrison stared at her. At the bodies. At the broken Catherine commander? At this small human who had done what his entire command staff said was impossible. "You are under arrest, Recruit Chun. You stole military property. You disobeyed direct orders. You engaged in unauthorized combat." "Yes, sir." "I understand, sir." They put her in handcuffs. They flew her back to base. They locked her in a cell. The entire trip, Sarah showed no emotion, no regret. No pride, nothing, but Morrison kept thinking about what the Catherine commander said. No ceiling. He kept thinking about how Sarah moved through that ship, how she thought, how she had no hesitation when lives were at stake. He filed his report that night. At the bottom, he added a personal note. Recommend immediate psychological evaluation. Chun displays abilities that may be valuable or dangerous, possibly both. The Coalition High Command read that report. They looked at the footage. They interviewed the hostages. They examined the catatonic Catherine, and they realized they had a decision to make. Punish Sarah Chun for breaking rules, or figure out how to aim her at their enemies instead of fearing what she might become. The evaluation would determine everything. The court-martial began exactly 1 week after Sarah returned to base. The hearing room was packed. Officers from every coalition species filled the seats. Word had spread about what happened on the Meridian. Everyone wanted to see the human who fought 8 raiders alone, and 1. Sarah sat at the defendant's table wearing a standard duty uniform. Her hands were folded in her lap. Her face showed nothing. She could have been waiting for a shuttle instead of facing a dishonorable discharge. The prosecution officer was a vole named Crixadle. He was known for his precision and logic. He stood and addressed the panel of judges. "The facts are simple," Crixadle said. Recruit Chun stole military property, a combat shuttle worth 2 million credits. She disobeyed direct orders from Commander Morrison. She engaged in unauthorized combat operations. Military discipline requires punishment. I recommend immediate discharge and criminal prosecution. Crixadle sat down. The judges nodded. It seemed straightforward. Then the defense attorney stood. She was a human woman named Major Reeves. She had been a prosecutor herself before switching sides. She knew how these trials worked. "Permission to call my first witness," Reeves said. Commander Morrison. Morrison took the stand. Reeves did not waste time. Commander, how many hostages were alive when you planned to breach the Meridian? Morrison shifted uncomfortably. 12. How many were alive when you actually breached the Meridian? 12. And how many would have been alive if you had followed protocol and waited for your tactical assessment to complete? Morrison looked down. Probably none, so Recruit Chen's actions saved 12 lives. Yes, but she still broke. Thank you, Commander. Reeves turned to the judges. I request that the 37 rescued hostages' testimony be entered into the record. All of them state clearly that they would be dead without Chen's intervention. Crixadle stood. The ends do not justify the means. Chen could have gotten everyone killed. She acted recklessly, did she? Reeves pulled up tactical footage on the main screen. This is security footage from the Meridian. Watch how Chen moves. Watch how she plans. Does this look reckless to you? The judges watched as Sarah systematically dismantled the raider team. Every movement was calculated. Every action served a purpose. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random? This is the work of a tactical genius, Reeves said. Not a reckless recruit. My next witness will prove that. She called Dr. Ixith to the stand. He was a Vol psychologist, one of the best in the coalition. He had spent the last week evaluating Sarah. Dr. Ixith, please share your findings. The psychologist looked uncomfortable. He pulled up his report on a datapad. Lieutenant Chin presents with what I have termed adaptive sociopathy. This is not a disorder. It is an ability. She can completely compartmentalize her emotions when necessary. She can care deeply for those under her protection while viewing enemies as nothing more than problems requiring solutions. That sounds dangerous, one of the judges said. It is, Dr. Ixith agreed. But not in the way you think. Chun is not a sociopath in the clinical sense. She has empathy. Deep empathy. But she has trained herself to set it aside during combat. Most species cannot do this. We have evolutionary safeguards preventing us from entering certain mental states. Shun has somehow disabled these safeguards. How? Reeves asked. Dr. Ixith hesitated. I researched her background. When she was 12 years old, she survived a conflict on a human colony world. She watched her entire family die. Her parents, her 2 younger brothers. She tried to save them but could not. She was just a child. The room went silent. Even the judges looked shaken. After that trauma, most humans would break. Some would become violent. Others would shut down completely. Jun did neither. She studied. She trained. She prepared. She turned herself into someone who would never be helpless again. Someone who would never watch people die without being able to save them. That is tragic, Reeves said softly. But how does it explain what happened on the Meridian? Because Chen has exactly one rule she will never break. She will not let someone die if she could save them. Everything else is negotiable. Everything else is just a problem to solve. The Kethrin were killing hostages. Chen could save them. So she did? The fact that it broke regulations never entered her calculations. Crixadle stood. So you are saying she is a danger. Someone who ignores rules when she feels justified. No, Dr. Ixith said firmly. I'm saying she is a tool. A very sharp, very precise tool. She is only dangerous if you give her reason to believe the coalition threatens innocent people. But if you aim her at your enemies? He paused. Then she becomes the most effective weapon you have. Explain, one of the judges said. Dr. Ixith pulled up the footage of Sarah confronting the Kethrin commander. Watch this moment. Jun is unarmed except for a wrench. Her opponent has a plasma rifle. But look at his face. Look at how he reacts to her. The footage played. The Kethrin commander stepped backward. His weapon dropped. His eyes showed pure terror. What did she say to him? The judge asked. We do not have audio, Dr. Ixith said. But we interviewed him after his psychological break. He kept repeating one phrase. No ceiling. Humans have no ceiling. I asked him what he meant. He said that when he looked at Chun, he realized something. She would do absolutely anything to stop him. There was no limit she would not cross, no sacrifice she would not make, no action too extreme. As long as innocent people needed protecting, she would never stop. And that terrified him? That broke him, Dr. Ixith corrected, because he realized he had created something worse than himself. Raiders like him have rules, lines they will not cross, limits to their cruelty. Chun has no limits when protecting others. That makes her more frightening than any monster. The courtroom erupted in whispers. The judges looked at each other. Cricksadle sat down slowly. He had no response to that. Reeves approached the bench. The question before this court is simple. Do we punish Sarah Chun for saving 37 lives? Or do we recognize that we have been given a gift? A soldier who will never give up, never surrender, never stop fighting for the people under her protection. But she broke the law, one judge protested. Yes, and she would do it again. Because her law is higher than ours. Her law is simple. Protect the innocent. Everything else is secondary. Reeves turned to face Sarah. Is that correct, Recruit Chun? Sarah stood. She looked at the judges. She spoke for the first time during the trial. Yes, ma'am. I broke regulations. I stole the shuttle. I disobeyed orders. I would do it all again if it meant saving lives. I joined the coalition to protect people, not to follow rules while people die. If that makes me a bad soldier, then dishonorably discharge me. But do not expect me to apologize for saving lives. She sat down. The courtroom was silent. The judges deliberated for 3 hours. When they returned, their faces showed they had made a difficult decision. Recruit Sarah Chun, the lead judge said. This court finds you guilty of all charges. However, given the unique circumstances and the testimony provided, we are suspending your court-martial. Your case is being transferred to a different authority. What authority? Morrison asked. Phantom Division. The judge looked at Sarah. Special Operations has requested your transfer. Effective immediately. Sarah's expression did not change. But something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, understanding. Morrison approached her afterward. Phantom Division is classified. I cannot tell you what they do. But if they want you, it means they see value in your abilities. They will train you, shape you, use you. Will they let me protect people? Sarah asked. They will aim you at the coalition's worst enemies. You will do things that regular soldiers cannot. Things that will keep you awake at night. I do not sleep much anyway, sir. Morrison almost smiled, almost. Good luck, Chun, or should I say. He checked his datapad. They have already assigned you a calsign, recursion. Why recursion? Because once you start solving a problem, you do not stop iterating until every variable is eliminated. Every threat neutralized. Every enemy removed. Morrison held out his hand. Try not to become the thing you fight. Sarah shook his hand. I will not, sir, because I am not fighting for hate. I am fighting to protect. There is a difference. Morrison watched her leave. He hoped she was right. He hoped she would remain human despite what Phantom Division would ask of her. But deep down, he knew the truth. The coalition had just created something new. Something their enemies would learn to fear. They had created recursion. And they had no idea what they had unleashed. Phantom Division was not like regular military. There were no barracks, no formations, no uniforms unless the mission required them. The base was hidden on an asteroid at the edge of Coalition space. Only 50 operators worked there. All of them were specialists. All of them were dangerous. Sarah arrived on a supply ship. Akrathi met her at the airlock. He was old for his species. Scars covered his scales. 3 of his 4 arms had been replaced with cybernetics. He looked her up and down. You are recursion? He said. It was not a question. Yes, I am Thorvik. I will be your second in command. Try not to get me killed. I will try. That is not very reassuring. But Thorvik's eyes showed approval. Come, Commander Vesk wants to meet you. Commander Vesk was a vole. She was small even for her species. But her eyes were sharp. She looked at Sarah like a scientist examining a specimen. I read your file, Vesk said. I watched the Meridian footage. I spoke with Dr. Ixith. Do you know why we wanted you? Because I get results. No, lots of soldiers get results. We wanted you because you think differently. You do not see combat as violence. You see it as problem solving. That makes you perfect for what we do here. What do you do here? Vesk smiled. We handle problems that conventional forces cannot. We do things that would look bad in official reports. We operate in shadows. We are not heroes. We are tools. Very sharp, very precise tools. Can you be that? Sarah thought about her family, about the hostages on the Meridian, about all the people who needed protecting. Yes, ma'am. Good. Your first mission starts tomorrow. Simple intelligence gathering on a contested world. Should be routine? It was not routine. Sarah's team inserted via stealth shuttle. 4 operators including her, Thorvik, a Yunari scout named Quick, a human demolitions expert named Park. Their mission was to observe enemy troop movements and report back. Nothing complicated. They lasted 6 hours before everything went wrong. Quick spotted the ambush first. Multiple contacts. We are surrounded. Enemy fire erupted from 3 sides. The team leader, a veteran vole named Chris, took a headshot. He was dead before he hit the ground. Park caught shrapnel in his leg. Quick's arm was bleeding. Fall back? Thorvik shouted, but there was nowhere to fall back to. The enemy had boxed them in. Standard tactics. Good execution. They were going to die here. Then Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. Calm, clear. Thorvik, give me command. You are not trained for, give me command or we all die. Thorvik looked at her. Saw something in her eyes. The same thing the Kefin commander saw. You have command. Sarah's mind shifted. The panic fell away. The fear vanished. There was only the problem. 5 enemy positions. 20+ hostiles. 3 wounded operators. Limited ammunition. Urban terrain. 1 solution required. Quick, your arm. Can you still throw? Yes, good. On my mark, throw smoke grenades at positions 2 and 4. Park, crawl to that wall. Thorvik, suppressing fire on position 3 for exactly 5 seconds. Then everyone runs east. East is, Thorvik started. Trust me. 5 seconds. Now? They executed. Smoke covered positions 2 and 4. Thorvik's fire pinned position 3. Park crawled. Sarah ran. But not east. She went north. Toward position 1. The enemy at position 1 expected return fire. Or retreat. They did not expect a lone human sprinting directly at them. By the time they realized what was happening, Sarah was already among them. She used their confusion, used their close quarters, used their own weapons against them. It took her 40 seconds to eliminate position 1. Then she used their radio. She spoke in their language. Perfect accent. Perfect tone. Position 1 to command. Target fleeing east. Moving to intercept. Confirmed position 1. Positions 2 and 4 maintain coverage on west exit. Sarah smiled. She had just split their forces. Made them think she was where she was not. Now came the hard part. Over the next 72 hours, Sarah turned hunters into prey. She used the enemy's own communication network against them. She would report false sightings. Fake ambush. Imaginary reinforcements. She made them chase shadows, but that was not enough. She needed to eliminate them. So she got creative. She found where 2 enemy factions were operating, both hostile to the coalition, but also hostile to each other. Uneasy allies. Sarah accessed their communication networks and planted evidence. Messages suggesting one faction was planning to betray the other. Weapon shipments that went missing. Accusations of theft. Within 24 hours, the 2 factions were fighting each other. Sarah just watched as I eliminated half their forces. For the survivors, she became a ghost. She sabotaged their supply depot, made it look like an accident. A fuel leak. A tragic explosion. 50 soldiers dead. All their equipment destroyed. The enemy commander sent his best tracker to find her. A specialist known for never losing a target. He found Sarah's trail within hours, followed her to an abandoned building. Cornered her in a room with no exits. He entered carefully, weapon raised. Ready for anything. Sarah stood in the center of the room, unarmed, smiling. I have been waiting for you, she said in his language. The tracker aimed at her center mass. Surrender and you will be treated according to... Sarah started talking, quietly, in his native tongue. She told him things she had learned about him. His family, his home, his children's names, his wife's medical condition. His secret fears. She told him exactly how she would hurt them if he pulled that trigger. She described it in detail, calmly, like she was reading a grocery list. She explained how she had already planted evidence linking him to the supply depot explosion, how his own people would hunt him down, how his family would suffer for his crimes. She told him he had one choice: leave, never speak of this. Resign from service, go home to his family, or stay, and watch everything he loved burn. The tracker's weapon trembled. His breathing became ragged. His mind cracked under the weight of her words. He saw the truth in her eyes. She was not bluffing. She had prepared all of this, just in case. Just to make him understand that fighting her meant losing everything. His last transmission was audio only. Just screaming. No one ever found out what Sarah said to break him completely. But he was discovered 3 days later, alive, physically unharmed. But his mind was gone. He could not stop crying. Sarah's team extracted successfully. All 3 wounded operators survived. Thorvik asked her one question during the flight home. What did you say to him? The tracker. I told him the truth, that I had mapped his entire life, found every weakness, every leverage point, and I would use all of it if necessary. I do not bluff. That is ... cruel? Yes, but he will go home now. He will leave service. He will never hurt anyone again. Sometimes cruelty saves lives. Word spread through enemy channels after that mission. Whispers about a Phantom Division operator, human, female, small, but absolutely ruthless in protecting her team. They called her Recursion. Some said she could predict the future. Others said she read minds. A few claimed she was multiple people using the same call sign. The truth was simpler. Sarah just thought ahead, understood psychology, studied her enemies completely, and she had absolutely no hesitation about exploiting every weakness she found. Over 18 months, Phantom Division's success rate jumped whenever Recursion was involved. Missions that should have failed succeeded. Operators who should have died came home. Enemies who should have won were defeated. Enemy forces started creating recursion protocols, specific contingencies designed to counter one human operator. It never helped. She adapted faster than they could plan. Her own teammates respected her but kept distance. She was professional, competent, even friendly. But there was always a wall. Only Thorvik understood why. A rookie operator asked him about it once. Why does she keep everyone at arm's length? Thorvik checked his weapons while he answered. Because she cares too much. Every person on this team is another person she will destroy herself to protect. Every friend is one more reason she will do terrible things to terrible people. She keeps distance as a kindness, so we do not become her only reason for living. Because if we do, she will become something worse than any enemy we face. That is sad. That is necessary. You want to see what recursion looks like when someone she cares about is threatened? Pray you never do. Because that human will burn entire worlds to keep her people safe. She is a weapon. The sharpest weapon the Coalition has. And weapons do not make friends. They just serve. The rookie did not understand then. But he would. They all would. Because Sarah Chun was about to face something that would test her limits. Something that would show the galaxy exactly what one human could do when pushed too far. The Genkar hegemony was about to make a terrible mistake. They were about to hurt people under Recursion's protection. And they were about to learn why enemies whispered her name in fear. They were about to learn what happened when you gave a human with no ceiling a reason to show the galaxy what no limits really meant. The alert came at 040 hours. Every operator in Phantom Division rushed to the briefing room. Commander Vest stood at the front. Her face was grim. The display behind her showed a human colony world burning. "This is New Terra," Vest said. "Population 6 million. No military value. No strategic resources. Just farms and families." She paused. "The Genkar hegemony attacked 3 hours ago. They are broadcasting the assault on all channels. They want us to watch." The screen showed Genkar soldiers marching through streets. Buildings exploded. People ran. Some did not run fast enough. The Genkar were not just conquering. They were exterminating. Sarah sat in the back row. Her hands gripped the armrests of her chair. Her knuckles were white. Her breathing was controlled. Too controlled? Thorvik glanced at her. He had seen that look before. That was not Recursion, the professional operator. That was Sarah Chun, the 12-year-old girl who watched her family burn. He touched her shoulder gently. "Coalition response?" someone asked. "Full mobilization," Vesk said. "But our forces will take 3 weeks to arrive. Maybe 4. New Terra will fall in days. High Command is scrambling for options. What about evacuation?" Park asked. "Not enough time. Not enough ships. We can maybe save 100,000. That leaves 5.9 million to die." The room erupted in anger. Operators shouted suggestions, strategies, plans, all of them useless. There was no time. No way to save millions of people in days. Sarah stood. Every voice went silent. Everyone looked at her. "I volunteer for a different mission," she said. Her voice was quiet, calm, empty. "What mission?" Vesk asked. "Infiltrate the Genkar hegemony command structure. End the war before our forces arrive." The room exploded in protests. That was suicide. The hegemony homeworld had never been breached. Their security was impenetrable. One operator could not change anything. Sarah ignored them all. She looked only at Vesk. "Give me 72 hours. Chun, that is 72 hours. After that, you can send your conventional forces. But give me 3 days, please." Vesk stared at her. Saw something terrible in those empty eyes. Something that made even the Vol commander uncomfortable. "What will you do?" "Whatever is necessary." Silence. Long and heavy. Vesk looked at the burning colony on screen. Then back at Sarah, making a calculation. A terrible calculation. "You have 72 hours. Phantom Division will support your insertion. After that, you are on your own." Sarah nodded. She walked out of the briefing room. Thorvik followed her to the armory. "Tell me you have a plan," Thorvik said. "I have 17 plans. All of them bad, but one of them might work. What do you need from me?" Sarah looked at her old friend. Her only real friend. "I need you to remember me as I am now. Not as what I will become in the next 3 days. Sarah, I'm going to do things that will change me. Things I cannot take back. But those 6 million people need someone willing to cross any line. So I will cross them all. Just promise me you will remember I did it to save lives. Not because I wanted to." Thorvik pulled her into an embrace. His cybernetic arms were cold, but his heart was not. "I will remember. Come back alive. I will try." 18 hours later, Sarah Chun penetrated the Genkar hegemony homeworld. How she did it remains classified. The methods she used violated 3 interstellar treaties. The people who helped her disappeared into black site prisons. The records were destroyed, but she was in. The first thing Sarah did was map everything. Security systems, power grids, water supplies, communication networks. government buildings, military bases, and most importantly, the locations of every high commander's family. She did not sleep, did not eat much, just gathered intelligence, found weaknesses, calculated vulnerabilities. On the second day, things started happening. Impossible things. The Genkar Supreme Military Commander returned to his fortress residence. His security team cleared the building as always. Nothing unusual. But when the commander entered his private chambers, he found something impossible. His throne had a human combat knife embedded in it. The throne room had 60 cameras, 40 guards, biometric locks. The knife should not be there. Could not be there, but it was. Security checked everything. Found no evidence of intrusion. No signs of forced entry, nothing. The knife just appeared. Like a ghost had placed it there. Then the communication network started receiving a message. The same message, broadcast from within the hegemony's own secured systems. It listed names, children's names, schools they attended, times they arrived and left, routes they took home, every high commander's family, every single one. Complete information. Perfect accuracy. Panic spread through hegemony leadership. How did someone get this information? How did they penetrate their security? They locked down their systems, increased security, investigated everyone. Then their intelligence headquarters discovered something worse. Their entire strategic database had been copied. Every war plan, every weapon, every secret, uploaded and transmitted to coalition forces from inside their most secure facility. By someone who should not exist, the hegemony mobilized their entire security apparatus. They hunted for the infiltrator, searched every building, interrogated thousands, found nothing. On the third day, Sarah appeared. Every screen in the capital city showed the same image. A small human woman standing in the government plaza, surrounded by thousands of soldiers. Completely calm. She was actually there, not a recording, physical presence. In the most secure location in the hegemony, alone, the soldiers raised their weapons. Officers shouted orders, but nobody fired. Something stopped them, the way she stood there, like she owned the plaza, like she had already won. Sarah spoke. Her voice carried through every speaker in the city. Leaders of the Genkar hegemony, you attacked New Terra to demonstrate your strength? To show the coalition that humans are weak, vulnerable, easy targets. She paused. You were wrong, she gestured around her. At the soldiers, at the buildings, at the city itself. In the last 72 hours, I have mapped your entire civilization. I know where each of you lives, where your families sleep, where your children play. I have identified 37 critical infrastructure points. If destroyed in sequence, they would collapse your economy in weeks. I have found 17 social fault lines in your culture. If exploited, they would tear your society apart. I have calculated 43 ways to destabilize your government using only the information already in your own networks. The plaza was silent, thousands of soldiers, millions watching on screens. Nobody moved. I am one human, one operator. I did all of this in 3 days. Imagine what I can do in 3 months. 3 years, a lifetime. Sarah's expression changed, became something cold, something empty. I have spent my entire adult life learning how to protect people by destroying those who threaten them. I am very, very good at it. She took 1 step forward. Every soldier took 1 step back. The coalition is offering you one opportunity. Withdraw from New Terra, immediately, completely. If you refuse, you will not be fighting coalition military forces. You will be fighting me. And I promise you, I have already prepared ways to end your civilization that will make this demonstration look gentle. Someone finally found courage to shout. We outnumber you millions to 1, Sarah smiled. It was not a nice smile. Yes, and I am inside your capital, inside your security, inside your networks. I can reach any of you, anytime, anywhere. Your numbers mean nothing when you cannot trust your own systems, when you cannot protect your own families, when every day you wake up wondering if I am already in your house. She paused. Let that sink in. I'm sharing this warning because some of you are just following orders. You do not deserve what I will do if you continue, but make no mistake. If you stay on New Terra, if you harm one more civilian, I will systematically dismantle everything you have built. I will turn your allies against you. I will collapse your economy. I will expose every secret. I will find every person you love and make you watch as I take them away. Not because I am evil, because I am practical. And you made the mistake of threatening people under my protection? The plaza erupted into chaos. Soldiers opened fire. Explosives detonated. Smoke filled the air. When it cleared, Sarah was gone. Extracted by methods that remain classified. The Genkar hegemony withdrew from New Terra within 6 hours. Their government issued formal apologies within 12. Their high command spent days investigating Sarah's claims. They found everything she said was true. She had penetrated their homeworld, mapped their weaknesses, prepared contingencies that could genuinely destroy their civilization. She had not been bluffing. She had been explaining. Intelligence reports from that day spread through every coalition enemy. A new threat assessment was added to military databases across the galaxy, a human operator. Calcine recursion, priority, do not engage, do not provoke. Do not threaten civilians while she is active. The assessment included one final note that made even hardened. Warriors nervous. Subject has demonstrated willingness and capability to prepare. Civilization-level contingencies in 72 hours? Psychological profile suggests no moral restrictions when protecting designated individuals. Recommend avoiding any action that might make subject classify your species as a threat. Subject does not bluff. Subject does not exaggerate. Subject calculates and executes. Years later, a reporter asked Sarah how she did it. How one human scared an entire empire into surrender? Sarah was older then, still small, still quiet, but her eyes were tired. She had seen too much, done too much, saved too many people by becoming something terrible. I did not scare them with strength, she said. I scared them with math. I showed them that one sufficiently motivated human, given enough time to think, can threaten anything. Because humans do not have the same limits as other species. We do not have safety switches that stop us when things get too extreme. We just keep going, keep adapting, keep solving the problem. Do you regret it? Sarah thought about her family, about the hostages on the Meridian, about 6 million people on New Terra who lived because she crossed every line she needed to cross. No, I regret that it was necessary. But I do not regret doing it, because my only rule is simple. I will not let people die if I can save them. Everything else is negotiable. Every boundary, every limit, every line. She looked directly at the camera. That is what makes me effective. That is what makes enemies fear me, not because I am strong. Because I am willing to become whatever monster is necessary to protect people who cannot protect themselves. And that is why they call you recursion. No. Sarah's tired smile returned. They call me recursion because once I start protecting someone, I never stop iterating. Never stop calculating, never stop planning. I'm always thinking 3 steps ahead. Always preparing for the next threat. Always ready to do whatever is necessary, she paused. For enemies, that means I do not have a ceiling. There is no limit to what I will do, and that thought keeps them awake at night. The interview ended, but Sarah's legend did not. She continued operating for another decade. Saved countless lives, stopped 3 wars before they started. Became the Coalition's most effective deterrent, and every enemy who heard her calcine remembered the same truth. Humans had no ceiling, and recursion proved it every single day. Years later, when she finally retired, Thorvik asked her one last question. Was it worth it? Everything you did. Everything you became. Sarah looked at photos of all the people she saved. Thousands of faces, millions of lives. All alive because she was willing to cross lines others would not. Yes, because they are alive. And that is the only thing that matters. She never claimed to be a hero. Never wanted statues or medals. She just wanted people to be safe. And she was willing to become a monster to make that happen. That is how Sarah Chun got her codename. And that is why all enemies feared her. Not because she was strong, but because she cared too much to ever stop fighting, and that made her the most dangerous human in the galaxy.